Welcome to the Automotive Blockchain channel, everyone. Hey, all passengers on this channel. The bus has been parked for a while, I understand, but Happy New Year to you. Let me tell you, the 2020 could not end in a more interesting way, I'll put it, than what I experienced. For those of you that did have holidays during that period of time, I hope everything was traveled safely. I was actually out of commission for a little bit, taking care of some health matters with my family during these COVID times and other health issues that were going on with family members. But I am now back online, and I am happy to get this bus moving. So today, I want to say to all of you that have subscribed to my channel, even though I have not been putting out videos in about a month, I want to thank you for that. Also, thank you to all of those who have subscribed previously. A big love dub goes out to from my heart to yours. I do appreciate it. And for those of you that are new to this channel, get on board the bus. We are about to get moving. Let's get started. Today, we're going to be talking about autonomous vehicles as it pertains to a blockchain, and we're also going to be talking about some updates that Samsung is doing with 5G networks in cars. So let's go over here and get started with this article from The Block. This is actually a follow-up from a video I did last year. It is an update on how Ford says blockchain and dynamic geofencing can improve city air quality. Now listen, I know just when you read that title, you're thinking to yourself, well, okay, yeah, that sounds like a pretty obvious thing, but let's dig into it, all right? So here it is. The Pan-European research collated more than 400,000 kilometers of data through Ford Transit and Tornio PHEV vehicles, that is plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, the PHEVs, across 3 countries. In Cologne, a municipal fleet trial aimed to show how blockchain can complement geofencing location-based triggers to help improve air quality. Now let's pause right there. Let's tap the brakes a little bit. All right, location-based triggers. Just in case you did not check and see the article I had posted before on this, what Ford was doing with these transit vehicles is as the Ford vehicle would drive closer into the city of Cologne and other cities as well, it would immediately flip from its traditional combustion engine, or kind of like the hybrid electric engine, I should say. So it would flip from that and go strictly into full electric mode based off of geofencing. So it would go into the city limits and then pop off and go right into electric. So that's what it was doing. Now I want you to think about something. Pause a minute. We're still touching these brakes. Think about this. This is where things are going. City infrastructures over the next 10, 15, 20 years are going to be upgrading. And if you have not seen this, I'm telling you, if you have not seen this in the news, where the governments throughout whatever country you are listening to this, they are talking about being more green. Every single manufacturer, vehicle manufacturer that you can think of, that is a major manufacturer, is talking going more green. They have standards that they must comply to all throughout Europe, all throughout Asia, not so much in certain parts of Asia, and definitely here in the United States. So these location-based triggers, think about for you people in the United States, if you were driving, let's say from East Coast to West Coast, you may come through some cities and your vehicle would have to switch over to electric, or you would be in violation of some of the city codes. Let's continue on with the article. The time a trial vehicle entered or left a geofence zone was recorded into the blockchain, ensuring green miles driven could be safely stored and potentially shared among relevant parties such as city authorities and fleet owners. Just stop and think about that for a minute. We're going to tap the brakes again, all right, guys? So when you think about that, it's being recorded on the blockchain, so it's solving a problem. They want to be able to monitor, and for some of you, that is a 4-letter word. Monitor your driving habits of where you are going, what you're doing, and are you logging these green miles? Now, I look at this in some cases from a positive perspective. I could see how some automotive manufacturers or some applications in your car would award you, imagine this, would award you with some type of currency Now, this is just me just throwing out some conjecture out there, but I'm asking you to kind of go along with me. Could you see, and let me know in the comment section, could you see an app or a mobile app or your vehicle awarding you for miles driven that were green, and it will automatically calculate that out? And let's say, for instance, you could be paid in whatever currency you so choose. Maybe it's Stellar, maybe it's XRP. I don't think XRP, but something else like that. So just kind of keep that in mind. So that's what Ford was explaining, that dynamic geofencing was also tested in the shape of continually adjusting boundaries based on air quality data. So let's say, for instance, a city that is unfortunately still high polluting, then they would be able to adjust the boundaries out a little further so that your car would be able to adjust based off of environmental conditions, be able to adjust to fully electric along the way. Now, I consider these plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, I consider these to be a stepping stone to the full electric vehicles. Just because I know a lot of manufacturers are going there. They want to be full electric. I think Mitsubishi, I have to go double check that, but I think Mitsubishi wants to be full electric by 2030 with all of their brands or with all of their models. So that's an interesting thing with that. So keep this in mind when you're considering the infrastructure around your city. One last thing I want to say on this is they were finding that the research has shown how PHEVs and emerging connected technologies such as dynamic geofencing and blockchain can play a major role in transforming cities, says Mark Harvey, Director of Enterprise Connectivity at Ford Europe. With their zero emissions capability and no range anxiety, PHEVs offer a practical, flexible alternative to diesel, making them ideal as general purpose vehicles for work in and around cities. Now, notice how they use the word flexible alternative to diesel. Keep in mind that you have companies like Tesla, etc., that are coming out with these very, very large, semi trucks. Like Tesla's coming out with the Semi, which is the battery-operated semi-truck for transporting goods and services around. So when you have these big vehicles that are going to be going into the cities, which a lot of cities don't allow large tractor trailers to go in there, some do. Actually, many do, but you get my point, that these vehicles would have to be going fully electric too. So when you think about that, think about all of your UPS, your FedEx, your DHL type vehicles that will have to be, in my opinion, flipped over to something that's going to be a hybrid electric or full electric kind of setup. So let's move on to the next article, and it is actually related. So how does this all go in there? In the US, okay? Over here on Green Car Congress, we have NHTSA issues final rule to modernize autonomous vehicle safety standards. It's just a quick read. I'm just going to focus on the highlighted part. The rule that the NHTSA has created amends several crashworthiness regulations to clarify safety standards for automated vehicles equipped without manual driver controls. The rule also exempts automated vehicles designed never to carry any human occupants, including human drivers, from crashworthiness standards. So where this is coming from is actually in the italics that you see there. And what they're referring to is that everyone knows, okay, that 90% of all the crashes, the serious crashes that happen out there, are because of driver error. People texting, especially these days, texting while driving. And here's the message out to everyone out there. Do not text and drive. Stay away from it. It's a little slippery slope. A little leaven's a whole lump. You start doing a little bit, and you all know when you get that scare. I got it too. And I'm saying this to you, but look, I'm being real. I know I text and drive too, but I have to admit I am doing it much, much less than what I used to, because I had those little scares where all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, I almost got into an accident because I was doing the wrong thing. And I called myself a dummy at the time. So, hey, let's practice safe driving out there, all right? So it is vital that we remove unnecessary barriers, and this is what the deputy administrator of NHTSA is saying. Is it is vital that we remove unnecessary barriers to technology that could help save lives. So they're realizing that there's some laws there that they need to overcome and get rid of. We do not want regulations to enact long before the development of automated technologies to present an unintended and unnecessary barrier to innovation. So this is obviously being released on January 15th is when it was posted. I like this because it's paving the way for autonomous vehicles to have a better standard. Now, if you think about how this applies to the last article I just covered, all right, with these vehicles, in that particular case, we're talking about the plug-in electric hybrid hybrid electric vehicles, and we were seeing how there would be these zones, these geofence zones, where if your vehicle did not switch off and go fully electric, well, then there would be some issues associated with that. I imagine then that would be some of the technologies when it comes to fully autonomous vehicles or even semi-autonomous vehicles, that they would be able to enter into some of these green zones because a lot of these fully autonomous vehicles are full electric. So they would be able to enter in there, but I could see how a plug-in electric hybrid vehicle or hybrid electric vehicle would be able to, venture over there as well. So things are changing. We'll keep you posted on that because I believe these regulations, depending on what state you live in, even though it's NHTSA, we all know that if you get into the more remote areas, some of this stuff probably will be a little more slack or lack in the way that some of the states handle this. Let's move on to the next article that has to deal with Samsung, all right? And this is 5G, and I want everyone to pay a close attention to this because, listen, I know some of the people listening to this channel, you're thinking to yourself, sometimes technology can be a little too controlling, and I get it. So this article here on /gear came out on January 11th, 2021, and says Samsung offers details on its automotive mmWAVE 5G telematics control unit. And yes, I know for some of you that's triggering your ears of, I hate 5G, because of whatever reason that you choose to. I get it. I understand. I've read a lot of articles on that as well. But needless to say, people, it is here in many countries, and it is definitely here to stay. So that being said, keep that in mind. This is not investment advice. It's just one of those things where if you know it's going to be placed in technologies all throughout your infrastructure, you might want to see what sort of technologies you will be using inevitably that you may be able to get in on. So automotive manufacturers are moving towards integrating all sorts of telematic features into vehicles of the future. These features bring baked-in high-speed internet connectivity for streaming data to and from a vehicle. That from means your vehicle is communicating with the infrastructure around you, whether it is the Easy Pass, whether it is the parking garage, whether it is the speed trap that you went by that you did not know. That's just something it's going to be communicating with. And yes, I do believe speed traps will be part of the future infrastructure coming out there. It's a new form of policing, and all that will be stored into the blockchain. That's a different video for a different time. So Electronics introduced the first 5G ready telematics control unit. Samsung did that in 2019, and that's for the TCUs. Okay, Samsung is now talking about its 5G mmWAVE TCU that will enable a new functionality. And what is that functionality? Well, let's dig into that. Keep in mind that all these technologies, if they do not solve a problem, then they're pretty much dead in the water. So this particular technology will do the following: reduces data transfer latency to a minimum and can cover multiple vehicles at once. So not just point to point, meaning vehicle to node, but in this case, multiple vehicles to probably multiple nodes. According to Samsung, the technology would be necessary to enable prompt communication between vehicles, pedestrians, and infrastructure. And I consider that to be a wonderful thing. And, I want to take a quick tap on the brakes. So imagine yourself being in a vehicle, and the information that your scanners that are in the vehicle, all the sensors that are around the vehicle, sees a pedestrian. And let's say, for instance, you get into a particular accident, but because the sensors have sensed that pedestrian, you would think the vehicle would stop, but an unfortunate incident happens and a pedestrian or a vehicle is hit. Well, all of that information would be saved into the blockchain and immediately pushed out. And this is, once again, how I see it happening. I'm just, I say it with a lot of confidence. I'm just putting it that way. Clearly, this article is not saying that, but based off of my 20 years in the automotive industry, this is where I clearly could see it going. And I've been on the automotive industry much of that time on the fixed operations side, meaning the fixing of the vehicles, etc. So that's just kind of my background in this. So when I look at this sort of thing and I see prompt communication between vehicles, pedestrians, infrastructure, I'm thinking of warranty subject matter or warranty issues and claims that could happen as a result of accidents, whether it's a pedestrian reporting it or your vehicle reporting it, etc. Now, there's an interesting part about this. Look at this. Look very closely at this particular part of the article. Samsung uses array antenna beaming technology. The technology allows antenna beams to be concentrated in a specific direction and transmitted with more power. Think about that for a minute. Now, for those of you that that have a limited understanding of physics or have played around even with a magnifying glass, you kind of get the idea of what a beam of light or a wave can do when it is focused. It will transmit with more power and more intensity. Now, I know in my brain when I read this, I'm thinking, how is my brain going to be affected by these extra power, more concentrated, transmissions? And of course, yes, they're testing it, but that has yet to be discussed as far as anything that I have read. But it does cause me to think about it at least. The article goes on. The tech minimizes, once again, solving a problem, interference, and increases transmission coverage. So over a longer range and a broader range. The technology also allows data to be sent and received at high speeds using more stable connection, even if the vehicle is moving. So keep this in mind that if some of you may have heard that one of the issues that 5G has is that it's a short range. It's a short range kind of wave, and as a result, getting around corners and around buildings and all that kind of stuff, it pretty much sucks. But however, keep in mind, this is technology, folks. They are coming up with solutions to this literally daily. There's stuff in the labs, I would imagine, that are already solving a lot of these problems. And these companies know this. And that's why you have this mmWAVE technology. So I look at that and I say, wow, a lot of things are changing. And hey, everyone, keep in mind that this is coming. It is here to stay. Yes, I said it is coming and it is here to stay, which means that it's coming to a vehicle near you, but the technology is here to say, here to stay. All right. So in this, obviously, you'll be able to have enhanced entertainment in your vehicle. It'll also be able to monitor all of the information in your vehicle. So I imagine that in this particular case, and this is not a leap of imagination, your vehicle will be communicating over the air to the manufacturer as well with all of the sensors. That technology is out there. Mercedes-Benz is looking at stuff, and a bunch of other manufacturers as well. So hey, that is it for this particular video. I'm glad to be back in this driver's seat again. Thank you for all getting on the bus, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.